Greetings of peace and paradise. This is part 3 to the alien secret connections to the world religions. In this part, we're just going to do a brief recap on all the information, and I'm going to come out with a little bit of new information that I didn't touch on in the last few videos. If you watched the other 2 videos, you should definitely be pondering the fact that if you are a religious adherent, that your religion is probably set up and controlled by a group of extraterrestrials, and they lost the way. They basically fell off the path of the extraterrestrials, and the extraterrestrials chose another group to be the new custodians of this doctrine. And this new group, like I said, are the entertainers. The entertainers have been chosen. Yep, the entertainers. Your rappers like Nas, he made a song called "We're Not Alone." Very popular song. I love it. It's called "We're Not Alone." He talked about how he saw a UFO. I think it was in LA or something like that. You have different other pop singers making songs called "Extraterrestrials" and things of that nature. Outkast, the group Outkast, they called themselves extraterrestrials, aliens out of this world. So even your entertainers are dealing with this new extraterrestrial doctrine that's getting ready to shift, because like I said, the ETs are choosing a new group. So it's your entertainers, it's your scientists. Many of your scientists are in secret pacts with extraterrestrials. How do you think Einstein and Nikola Tesla and people like that were learning all this information that they learned in the early 1900s? They were in contact with extraterrestrials. They were in contact with extraterrestrials. And even your politicians are in contact with extraterrestrials. Many of you are familiar with the story of Valiant Thor. Valiant Thor, which was an extraterrestrial from Venus that was said to have came to the White House and sat down with President Eisenhower. And I'll do a video on that. That'll be a really good video. But he sat down with President Eisenhower and gave him some information. Many people are saying that the computer geeks and gurus are tied into these extraterrestrials and are getting information, and that really they're just using certain people as figureheads to introduce this new technology. But really, this new technology is coming from the minds of extraterrestrial beings. But I'm dealing with religion here, so I'm not going to get too far off the path. I'm just closing out. I had to make those points because what I'm saying is that the religious adherents, they basically got used by the extraterrestrials, the religious leaders, the Council of Nicaea and all of that. They got used by the extraterrestrials to set up the global economy. That's basically what was going on. They were setting up the so-called New World Order, which really the New World Order is really talking about the extraterrestrials. And they were used to set up the beginnings of this New World Order through your world religions, through the Bible, and through Christianity. Christianity is one of the most universal world religions right now. There's Christians all over in every continent of this planet. And there's a reason for that. It's because they wanted that doctrine to spread, so that the Christianity was the vehicle that was used by the ETs to set up the global economy. It was the first vehicle. The first vehicle. Because like I said, now the powers are shifting. And now the powers are shifting to the politicians, the bankers, those that control finance, the ruling families, the 13 bloodlines, who all have this blood in them, as far as this extraterrestrial blood in them. They're direct predecessors of these extraterrestrials. They are in the direct lineage of these extraterrestrials. Your world rulers, your 13 bloodlines. I'm going to point out something that I didn't point out in the last video about the story of Jesus, just to kind of put the icing on the cake. Now, many people, they say Jesus was the Son of God, Mary was impregnated, and they don't know how Mary got impregnated. It was an immaculate conception. And there's a lot of argument about exactly how this took place, even in the New Age community. Some people say that the angel Gabriel or Jabril actually laid down with Mary and had sex with her. And some people say it was actual extraterrestrial artificial insemination. It was an extraterrestrial artificial insemination. But I'm going to show you proof that extraterrestrials were behind this story. There's a picture of the Virgin Mary that I got. If you look in this picture closely, you'll see a UFO. I don't know if you guys can see it. If you look closely, you'll see a UFO right here. The background right here. There's a UFO behind the Virgin Mary as she holds her son, the baby Jesus, her son. There's a UFO in the background. And it's a reason for that. This is an image that is basically showing that the extraterrestrials were behind this. So they were behind this immaculate conception. And what happened was that the story of Jesus was plagiarized from the story of Tammuz. So it's really carrying, it started with Tammuz really. See, it really didn't start in the Council of Nicaea. The whole advent of Christianity started with the story of Tammuz, thousands of years before that. And Tammuz, his father was an Anunnaki. His father was an Anunnaki or whatever, and you can research all this information. His father was an Anunnaki, and his mother was actually, his mother, I believe, was Ishtar. And they conceived and created him as a deity and an intermediary. He was appointed as an intermediary because this is when the extraterrestrials decided that they weren't going to allow the humans to know about them. They were going to just put one intermediary. They were going to take away some of the higher powers. See, humans had higher powers at first when we were created because we had the same intelligence as the Anunnaki themselves. So we had like psychometry, telepathy, clairvoyance, intuition. I talked about this before. Our higher powers were activated, but we lost the knowledge of these things because the extraterrestrials began to close the third eye and begin to dumb down the human beings through the advent of religion and through the advent of actually this intermediary of Tammuz or whatever. He began to see, he was on a mission to dumb down humans and to create the sheep. The Goyim, this is what you call the Goyim, or those that weren't in the know. But you still had the elites that knew thoroughly of how these civilizations were set up, thoroughly on how these different world rulers got their power. You still had a group of people that knew this information, but they wanted to dumb down the masses because the reason why is because they were getting ready to set up the global economy. And the global economy would never been a success if the masses still had their higher senses intact. So they had to dumb down the masses. These extraterrestrials that you might call the Illuminati had to dumb down the masses through the doctrine of Christianity. And this is the advent of when it took place. This dumbing down started approximately 3,000 years ago. Now we know Christianity itself is 2,000 years old, but it's really not even that old actually, because it goes back to the Council of Nicaea. But we'll just say, for the sake of argument, the birth of Jesus took place 2,000 years ago, but the dumbing down started 3,000 years ago through the story of Tammuz. That's why I want you to really research Tammuz. I want you to really research that. The Jews even have a calendar month in their calendar called Tammuz. One of their calendar months is called the month of Tammuz, and this is the month of harvest. This is the month of harvest because the extraterrestrials used humans as a harvest. See, that's what humans are, a harvest. And they use humans for various reasons, for sacrifices and everything. So, and this is how they do things. This is based on their doctrine. These are a group of reptilians that are doing this. They go through ritualistic sacrifice. This is what they do. They do ritualistic sacrifice. And this is why you see the Jews, they dealt with a lot of sacrifice in the Old Testament. Where did they get it from? They got it from the extraterrestrials. That's why they dealt with a lot of religious sacrifice and things of that nature. And that's why even in the entertainment industry now, you see them dealing with a lot of religious sacrifice because they're taking on a doctrine of these extraterrestrial beings that do these human blood sacrifices. So yeah, all the religions were used as vehicles by the extraterrestrials, and now the extraterrestrials are using the world leaders because now the global economy is set. The stage is set. So as far as like the extraterrestrials coming back and all of that type of stuff, we could say they're coming back, but really they never left. They never left. What they did was they just went underground and went and started to rule in secret because they were preparing for this day. They were preparing for this day because they're getting ready to resurface again and they're going to make their presence known. And what I'm telling you is your world leaders are going to let you know soon the extraterrestrials are definitely real. They're definitely other life forms outside of just humans. We are not the only show in town. And I might sound crazy now, but just mark my words. Real soon they're going to go public with this information. Mark my words. Real soon they're going to go public with this information. This is really what the whole 2012 thing is about. It's really about that. So America plays a key part because really the extraterrestrials wanted to get to this land and to get to this point because it was in this land that they wanted to resurface and to make their presence known. And this is why this was called the land of the free, the home of the brave. The land of the free, the home of the slave. I mean, brave. It's really the home of the slave. But the thing is that they give you this illusion that you're free, These extraterrestrials want you to think that you're free and all of this, but really you're still up under the control of these extraterrestrials, but they control you from the center of the earth. And I'm going to make some other videos about the extraterrestrials being underground and things of that nature. But your founding fathers, Thomas Paine, in his book, you should get Thomas Paine's book. He wrote a book, and he talks about how, I mean, he believed in UFOs. He believed in extraterrestrials. He was a firm believer in this information. All of your founding fathers believed in this information. I mean, and it's a lot of hidden information that people don't know. The whole story of the Ark of the Covenant is really dealing with the extraterrestrial story. You see, Noah's Ark, these were UFOs. Ark of the Covenant, Noah's Ark. These were UFOs that they're not telling you about. The story of Noah's Ark is dealing with when the extraterrestrials chose Noah, because they always choose a group. They save a group before they destroy the rest of them. And they chose Noah and his bloodline, and they saved him, put him on an ark, which was really a DNA bank. They set up a DNA bank, and they had all of the different DNA of all the species of animals stored on this bank because they were going to destroy the earth again. They've destroyed the earth so many different times. Like I said, there's been various different times these aliens have destroyed the earth, and they saved Noah. And they put him on this ark, and they used him to reseed and repopulate, him and his family, to reseed and repopulate the planet Earth. Your Black Plague, the Black Plague that took place in Europe, was actually done by extraterrestrials. You should get William Bramley's book, The Gods of Eden. He talks about this. The Black Plague was actually, like I said, was concocted by extraterrestrials. So, I mean, this information is out there, you know. It's just that's whether or not you want to go ahead and enlighten yourself and go ahead and research it. Because what's happening is they want to initiate you into the Galactic Confederation. That's why they're going to make their presence known. And they're going to initiate those that accept this form of a doctrine are going to be initiated into the Intergalactic Confederation. And this is where you get your concept of certain people are going to have to take a chip, because these reptilians that control the surface of the planet Earth use technology to control, and they're going to say they trying to figure out a way to control humans, because every time they give us knowledge and information, we always end up breaking free from their control some kind of way, and that's why they keep destroying us. That's why you hear about all these destruction stories, the Ice Age and all this type of stuff. This was all concocted by extraterrestrials. They know how to control the climate of the planet Earth. Planet Earth has a climate control switch located in the center of the Earth. And they know how to control the climate of the planet Earth, these reptilians do. So they can wipe out human civilization whenever they goddamn feel like it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you guys need to really wake up to. Like, whenever they feel like it, they can wipe out civilization. But what they want to do is they need a certain amount of humans. So they don't want to kill all the humans. They want to control a certain amount so that they can keep their control, because we can live on the surface of the Earth. Now, the reptilians weren't the same beings that created us, though. See, they weren't the same beings. The beings that are controlling the surface are not the same beings that created humans. You see, so this is where you get into your God and devil concept. The reptilians exploit humans. You know what I'm saying? They exploit humans, and they exploit the melanin of the melanated humans. They exploit the adrenaline of the adrenal glands of these humans. They exploit different body parts that we have. They use us for a harvest. Some of them even eat us. You know what I'm saying? Like, they eat us. They hunt us for game. They've been doing this for years. But, you know what I'm saying? They want to control the surface of the planet Earth. And they already really control the surface of the planet Earth. But they want to make themselves known to initiate a group of humans into the Galactic Confederation. Because they have a council that they have to answer to. And the council is not for what's going on with these reptilians or whatever. The Intergalactic Council is not for the exploiting of humans and things of that nature. So they're going to wipe out humans one more time, and they're going to save another group. And they want to put a chip inside of the heads of all humans that make it through this next shift. The only people that are going to make it is those that take this chip. And you have to take this chip because they're going to control you through technology, through this chip. Because humans have what's called an ego, and they're trying to kill the ego so that we can submit to the Intergalactic Confederation. They want us to not have no ego. So see, in the ancient days, when they dealt with the aliens, they gave those ancients certain rituals to kill the ego. It was called the killing of the ego. It was a ritual that dealt with killing of the ego. And this is why many of your groups of like your secret society groups deal with so-called homosexual practices, because they do these homosexual practices to kill the male ego as well, because really the ego is really dominant in men. So they want to neutralize the ego. They're going to put the chip in your head, which is actually a reptilian agenda. So your whole book of Revelations, I'll cover that in another video, but your whole book of Revelations and your whole end time events is really dealing with the group of extraterrestrial beings that are going to cause the end. They've caused the end before, and they'll cause the end again. So I hope you learned something from this video. I covered a lot of information. Go back and watch them, do your research. If you have any questions, you can email me at 13scienceastrology@gmail.com. Thank you for watching this video, and until we meet again, I'll say peace and love.